30 feet below 300 armed police officers. A rubber dinghy loaded with $19 million was quietly floating through a sewage tunnel. The cops were laughing. They thought they were dealing with the dumbest criminals in Argentine history. They were wrong. January 13, 2006, a gang of well-dressed men walked into a bank on a quiet suburban street in Argentina. They took 23 hostages. They held off 300 heavily armed police officers for over 6 hours. They didn't fire a single real bullet. Nobody got hurt. And when police finally stormed through the front door, the robbers were already gone. The only thing left behind was a handwritten note on the vault wall, a message so arrogant, so perfectly timed that the Argentine government is still embarrassed by it today. This is the heist of the century, and by the time this video is over, you'll understand exactly why the people of Argentina didn't just forgive these men. They celebrated them. Before we talk about the heist, you need to understand the country it happened in, because this story doesn't make sense without it. In December of 2001, Argentina went through one of the most catastrophic economic collapses in modern history. And I don't mean a recession. I mean complete, total financial collapse. Millions of ordinary Argentines woke up one morning and their bank accounts were frozen, not reduced. Not lost, frozen. People couldn't withdraw their own money for weeks, then months. And when things finally changed, their savings had lost most of their value. Doctors, teachers, retirees, wiped out overnight. Not by criminals, but by the system. By 2006, the country was recovering. But the anger never left. And somewhere in that environment, a man named Fernando Araujo was planning something extraordinary. He wasn't a typical criminal. He was educated, calm, strategic, a man who believed he could design the perfect robbery, not violent, not chaotic, but precise. Almost like a work of art, he chose Banco Río in a quiet suburb, and he had 3 reasons: the money, the location, and the tunnel. Beneath the streets ran an old drainage system connected to a canal miles away. Most people saw a sewer. He saw an escape route. For over a year, his team worked underground, digging, measuring, planning every inch. No mistakes, no attention, no noise. Every single day, they lived normal lives on the surface and built a secret tunnel below. This wasn't a robbery. This was engineering. January 13, 2006, 9:07 a.m., they walk into the bank. Within minutes, they control everything. 23 hostages, phones cut, doors sealed, and one line left open for the police. Because they wanted the police to come, within an hour, 300 officers surrounded the building. Helicopters above, SWAT teams ready. The police believed they had full control. No one gets in. No one gets out, but beneath them, the real heist had already begun. Upstairs, Araujo played his role perfectly. Calm, polite, almost friendly. He reassured the hostages. He talked to negotiators. He stalled for time. Then, 3 hours into the standoff, he asked for pizza. 300 armed officers, debating pizza, while millions of dollars were being moved underground. 6 hours passed. 6 hours of distraction. 6 hours of perfect timing. Until finally, everything was ready, around 3 p.m. He told the police they were coming out, but instead, he led his crew to the back, opened a hidden trapdoor, and disappeared. One by one, they all vanished. Minutes later, police stormed the building. Hostages safe. No suspects. No trace. Nothing, except a tunnel, leading underground, where the robbers had already escaped, carrying $19 million. On the wall, they left a message. In a country without law, there is no crime. Just a heist. The next day, Argentina didn't react with fear. They laughed, because for many people, this didn't feel like a crime. It felt like revenge. The robbers were eventually caught. Some went to prison. Most of the money was never recovered. But the story never died. Because this wasn't just about stealing money. It was about outsmarting a system that people had already lost trust in. And maybe that's why they weren't seen as villains, but as something else entirely.